Good day, guys. This is Brian Mangalindan speaking. Today we'll be talking about the short story entitled The Taximan Story, authored by none other than Catherine Lim. Before tackling the story proper, let us first shortly discuss about the author. Catherine Lim Po Im is a Singaporean fiction author known for writing about Singapore society and of themes of traditional Chinese culture. She was hailed as the doyen of Singapore writers. Lim has published 9 collections of short stories, 5 novels, 2 poetry collections, and numerous political commentaries to date. In 2015, Little Ironies Stories of Singapore was selected by the Business Times as one of the top 10 English Singapore books from 1965 to 2015, alongside titles by Arthur Yap, Darren Xiao, and Amanda Lico. In the same year, the Straits Times Akshitananda selected Little Ironies Stories of Singapore as one of the 10 classic Singapore books. Catherine Lim's early short, sharp fiction describes the results of such social engineering. A Singapore growing more cosmopolitan and Singaporeans losing touch with their roots. Little Ironies spotlights ordinary people at their best and worst, such as the Taximan story, in which a cab driver is happy to make money off sex workers while looking down on them. Now that we've introduced the author of this story, let us move to the story proper itself. In this story, the taxi cab driver is engaged in a rather one-sided conversation with his passenger, whom he addresses as Madame. In this story, Madame is a teacher and is rushing for a meeting. So the taximan goes on and on about how the younger generation of Singapore would lie to their parents, stating that they have a school activity, while the truth is that their child is off enjoying themselves in the company of their European or American boyfriends, which the taximan claims are rich. He also states a personal experience as evidence, with his daughter being one of the Singaporean youth, but in the end, the irony would be evident. This story is about the taximan criticizing young people of our generation for being too immature by hanging out at places like hotels, bars, and many more, while he still goes there to make an easy living in somewhat kind of a hotel that is popular to spot to earn more money. This is an act of contradiction, and instead of practicing what he has preached, he has gone against his stand and decides to put money and making a living over his own beliefs and mindset. This story tells more about on how young people of Singapore or even in any part of the world have grown to be bold and reckless as compared to the early youth of the Singapore. Difference of the early taximan generation and how making a living in Singapore has overcome the need to stand up for our own beliefs and make a stand to whatever opposes us. If we're going to compare the teenage life of the Singaporean teenager to the Filipino teenagers, it is actually somewhat same. However, Filipino teenagers knows how to respect their parents and we know already what is good and bad. But if we're going to talk about other teenagers, they will just think for their own good instead of going to school, they spend time with someone they can get some money. Overall, this story reminds us, daughters and sons, that we need to treasure our parents, especially to consider their sacrifices just to raise us. Being ambitious is not bad, but if we don't know how to handle and understand the situation, that's the time we are craving for more attention and wants. Just to try to imagine how our parents sacrifice their time to earn more money to send us in good schools and to provide our needs.